Hey everyone, I'm Jacob. My friends call me DeWood. I caught up with Jake Morton at Serotonin Studios earlier this year for a pre-production meeting for Take a Chance, the new EP. And while I was there, I had a bit of extra time, so I thought I'd sit down and just talk to him about mastering as a whole, just sort of how he views the whole process as a mastering engineer at Serotonin Studios. So I'll probably upload a bit more of the video, a bit more of the session down the track. So please follow, subscribe, like the video, and I really hope you enjoy. So thank you very much. My dude.
What's up?
How are you?
Yeah, good to see you, man.
Good to see you, bro. Hey, man. Long time no speak.
Yeah, man. It's been ages. How you been?
Yeah, very well, very well.
Thanks for coming in.
I'm trying how do I explain this simply? So we're running stuff through some outboard gear here, and I guess one of the benefits of actually having a facility like this is we can get the best of both worlds in terms of analog hardware and vintage gear and the new age contemporary digital plugins. And we're going to be running your masters through this guy, as well as which is just a summing mixer that basically is like I like to explain it as though it's not maybe 100% accurate down to the electronic components, but it's basically like an SSL, like analog vintage console. This is a digital controller, but imagine like CLA's Crystal Algae's like SSL 40 channel console that's like got all your favorite Foo Fighters records mixed on it and whatnot. That's basically we're just running it through the same kind of components and sound as that console, and then we're running it through an SSL analog kind of saturation and compression, and then we bring everything over and we've got a whole bunch of like fancy schmancy plugins that do a whole bunch of stereo field and multi-band compression and stuff that's kind of a little bit too complicated for outboard gear, or just like isn't
So all right, so if I was to break it down, let's go like step by step.
Yeah.
So what is mastering?
The simple version is like we're basically making it loud, but mixes pre-mastering will actually have more dynamic range and blah blah blah, like, which would probably be a better listening experience, but because of where things are at technologically in the current day, like it's kind of just not really appropriate these days because everybody just like super loud, and and the way we listen to music is complementing that as well.
So mastering is going to make it louder.
Yeah, but bring it up to broadcast standards, essentially. Yeah. Traditionally, mastering is actually like mostly preparing stuff for vinyl and for other platforms.
Because that was the first thing you asked me. It was like, is it going to be online or is it going to be vinyl?
Yeah.
Right. So why is that a big decision, or like what changes the course of the action when you make that decision, right? So,
yeah. Well, basically, we like the. How do you say? There aren't really many rules when it comes to, or limitations when it comes to just putting stuff up digitally and distributing stuff through Spotify and listening blah 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 all through that. But mostly because there aren't actually physical limitations.
Like if you're scratching a vinyl in,
yes.
And you dig in the grooves.
Yeah, you can only dig so far before you crack through the thing. Or right. But the other issue is that if things are too loud, like they are in digital audio, the needle will actually just fall off the record and then it'll skip to a different point in the song. So you kind of just break and you're out.
Yeah, you can't physically actually make that.
Yes, so
cool.
Yeah, there are a lot of problems, and then we have other things like wax cylinders and stuff from age old. Like this used to go on. This is actually just a case of wax, but there would be a thing in it, and the grooves would be printed onto the. So this would rotate instead of spinning.
Oh yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like, I guess traditionally a mastering engineer would be like prepping assets for all of that kind of stuff.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And so that over time the craft has evolved, almost.
Well, I would ask, like, dare I say, this might be a like unpopular opinion. It's kind of become semi-redundant when it comes to digital stuff.
Yeah. Right.
And that's exactly why I asked that question straight away. I'm like, cool.
What do I need to know?
Yeah,
because if it's going physical,
yeah, and I'll as I have done with clients in the past, if you're going to be doing masters for vinyl, then I'll give you digital and vinyl masters.
Yeah.
So that there's no problems between the two mediums.
Well, this stuff, might eventually go physical, but
Yeah.
for now it's just digital.
Yeah, totally. But that's like just touch base because it's just a matter of how loud I can make things. And but with this genre of music in particular, it's like the sky's kind of the limit. And
Literally,
like you're gonna want to compete with everybody else who's just brick walling and turning your shit the up, getting lit. Essentially, it's like is the fact.
That's the
matter,
ethos of in the industry at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay, and so then. So that's mastering as a whole, or mastering in general.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you brought up a bunch of fancy shit down here with these things here. So
nerd out.
So obviously there's a difference between doing like a digital plug-in and then feeding something through analog.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And so because you're in a studio, you have the luxury of being able to have the option of either going digital or being able to do some analog stuff.
Yeah.
Right. What's the decision process between keeping things digital, using things analog?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like why would we want to go analog for certain things?
You know, like I asked you to take the limiters and the compressors off of your mixers. However, I can audibly hear the difference. This thing saturates really, really nicely, whereas your converters, which are down here, when you take audio and put it through a digital to analog converter and you're distorting the converter, that sounds shit. It's just a different type of distortion for sure. Mm-hmm. You know, I can cover all my fucking.
Some people might like it. You know?
I can show you.
Let's not.
But I'm also one of those people though. Like,
you like your experimental stuff too.
Yeah, totally.
So...
I mean, I've probably shown you some shit in the past.
Absolutely.
Just like, put it in the deep fryer. Let's go, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously, traditionally, for what a mastering engineer is trying to do, it usually needs to be as transparent as possible. Mm-hmm. So that kind of system that gives me like shitloads more
headroom,
wiggle room, really, just
so you can
burn shit if I want, and when it does burn, it burns like nicely. Mm-hmm. You know, it's and I think actually I had an experience just here the other month. We had an open day, and the wood that they were putting on the campfire was like, it smelt very, very different from just like the store-bought stuff because it was all cut from here.
Right.
So it was like actually on the property, eucalypt trees and shit like that. So I was like, oh, this is a whole different feeling. Like I'm kind of okay with the smoke because it smells nice. Yeah, right. Rather than just being like, oh,
dirty smoke.
Yeah. It's probably a good parallel. Mm-hmm. Or metaphor maybe. But
just using different ingredients is going to give you something different at the end.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I mean, like you're the chef, you just got to figure out which ingredients you want to use for this.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's part of the decisions you're making as a mastering engineer.
Yeah, and we're talking about like garnishes, I guess, at this point. You know, because like.
Yeah, garnishes is probably a better way of putting it, isn't it? Yeah.
And 95% of the job is done in the mix. Yeah, totally.
Garnishing the mix. All right. I like that. Cool.
I'm in the
We're cooking.
Every day of the week. That's it.
I mean, look, being realistically speaking, do you have a big arsenal of things that you're picking from, or is that just kind of
too many?
A noob? Too many. Okay, so you actually do need to know your shit. It's not just like we're just going to slap on a stock limiter, a stock compressor, and then we're good.
Well, that was exactly what I was going to kind of just show you, like, you know. Yeah, like the best kind of advice or description of what a mastering engineer is, I think, that I've heard in the past is just like a fresh set of ears. You know? But also like a trained set of ears. You know, you're not mastering it with the bias of your own artistic preferences and things like that. You know, among other things there, because like due dates can often get in the way of just be good enough. And like, this is primarily what will end up happening. You know, we'll just get this stock limiter and be like, that'll do. You know, so it's like a one button or one slider process.
Instead of properly dialing it in.
Yeah, rather than having something a little more sophisticated that will actually isolate individual frequencies and shit like that. So like, let's kill that limiter, but I can actually go in and just compress the mid-range now. And other shit like that. Which I will go through and do in a sec. But yeah, so, and then once again running it through like actual compressors and outboard gear for that warmth.
All right, let's pop up a track. What do you want to listen to?
Let's do Stella then. Go for that. So honestly, I'll show you. Like, I'll just be like completely transparent. Yeah. A lot of the time that when I'm like mastering this kind of work, I'm just like, okay, cool. Visually, where's the loud?
Where's the
right? Just so I can get like a bearing of like
what you're doing.
Where are we gonna land? and set some compression and some things like that, and then I'll go through and actually listen to things, because it's not really my job at this point to be...
You're not picking out little mistakes in the performance.
Well, yeah, like, I mean, which I will, obviously. I'll go through and listen to everything, but it's not really my job to be like critiquing the arrangement and other like actual compositional things. So it's not really that necessary, and I'm just going to get shit done better, quicker, not tie my ears out if I'm just...
No, I agree. Yeah, just focus on what you need to do.
Because it's very much like a logistic job.
Yeah, legit. Like
fuck am I looking for?
wearing down your ears is definitely a thing too.
Yeah, I do, man.
Getting yourself tired.
Realistically, I only have like a good 7 and quality hours of listening, I reckon, a day. And that's probably an overestimation. So when we do a master, we will actually print multiple instances of it at different stages of the process as well. So we'll print it post hardware, so that if you're not happy with the master down the line or whatever, or you need to remaster it 10 years from now, you've got each stage there. Yeah, so we can just be like, oh, well, here's the mix with like your traditional compressor on top, and then digitally everything else. Here, I'm just going to adjust this guy. Tickle. So, run and sit through our compressor. I just want the kick to like duck everything else, so you can kind of see that the meter's only really responding to the kick drum. Yeah. And then from there, I'm gonna kind of just bring everything else back up when we come back into digital land and start making decisions about like, do I want some tape saturation on things, like, you know, which is probably very Tycho actually. This is kind of the part where I go through and isolate actual individual frequencies and shit.
So what do you like, walk me through the theory of like what you're trying to do right now?
Yeah, sure. Basically I'm just kind of trying to listen to where all of the things have kind of been mixed and where the individual components of the song are. So there's like that mid-range synth that's like doing the chord leading thing, that thing. So I'm trying to kind of isolate that in this particular bandwidth right now, which you can hear. So just finding the sweet spot where that is kind of most prominent, because it's such a key centerpiece of the song, right? And then from there I'll kind of like... I really like this compressor because it uses this the term priority when you start dialing things up and down, and that's like a really good reference point or like way to think about what am I actually prioritizing. What do I want to bring out in the mix? Yeah, exactly. So just kind of like dialing the focus in on the camera for that specific subject, you know. Have to think about the snare and other instruments that are attached to that bandwidth as well. Leaving the snare kind of after mid-range stuff. All those little extra tidbits of detail, like kind of just bring the snare out, and the top end of the synths, as well as the like hi-hats actually kind of poke through and other things. It's and totally just garnishing. Hey, like when you give it some sparkle. And this at this point I'd probably bring in a reference track, so I'll record some shit in from Spotify and actually EQ some stuff as well.
Kind of ran out of time at the studio, so we didn't really film a proper outro at the studio. We even forgot to take like proper pictures and stuff. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna upload a bit more of that session down the track. Also, we're gonna catch up and have a post-mastering session where we're gonna talk about the specific chains, mastering chain that Jake used, and go through exactly what he did with Take a Chance, the new EP. So please like the video, follow, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Thank you very much.